roll in. Welcome, welcome. Right. All right. So, looks like we are live on Facebook. Welcome, everyone. So, tonight's topic is what to do and what not to do when you are feeling hopeless. So, this is a little bit of a late night. It's a little bit off the cuff, and I thought that this would be a good topic, whether or not anybody else comes on, because sometimes you can go through challenging times where it can feel like everything is hopeless. And so some of these things are things that I struggle with as well. And if anything, this is going to be a reminder for myself of how to get out of these situations because you can go through periods of life where you feel like you're being kicked when you're already down. And it can be small things or big things, and there can be different things that come up for you that just kind of cause you to think, really, what else? What else can be thrown at me? And so today I want to talk about different things that you can do, things that you can do to help shift you out of those perspectives, and then things that you definitely want to make sure that you don't do. So, if this is your first time joining me, my name is Tina. I am a happiness coach, and I help people go from being in a dark, depressed, anxious state to being in a happier state. And I do this through sharing my own experience, strength, and hope in order for you to be able to take some of the things that I use on a regular basis that I know actually work for me, and you can apply these to your own life. So, just to give you guys a little bit of context, I've been having some challenges. I've been sick. I've got COVID. So, my health has not been tip top shape, even despite trying to keep myself in a healthy state. Managed to get COVID. So, that alone, this is the five halts. If you are in a hungry, angry, lonely, tired, or sick state, you need to stop what you're doing. Halt, right? Those are things that you need to caution yourself to kind of like don't react, don't act out of character. Just stop whatever you think is a good idea to do at this particular time, don't do it. And I spent a lot of time today telling myself, because I'm like, yeah, I'm going to do this. And it's like, no, no, you're not. You are going to sit your ass down on the couch and do nothing because you are not in a good state. So recognizing the state that you're in, and paying attention to what's going on with you. It may seem like a good idea that you want to give somebody a piece of your mind where you finally had enough, right? It's like, don't do that. Don't. You are going to cause more problems for yourself than if you sat on it and got yourself into a better state. Hey, Ella, the Paxlovid, I think it's called, is horrible. I'm not sure what that is. Is that a medication? So, going through this stuff, you can end up thinking to yourself, hey, you know what, I'm not feeling well. You may act out in not so great behaviors. You might fall to old coping mechanisms, old devices, all of those things. Obviously, you want to try not to, but if you're in this place where that seems like the only option, um, give yourself grace for the times that you mess up, right? Um, because I know there's times where maybe paying attention to the voice track that's going on in your head and you're like, oh, I can't do this and I can't do that. It's impossible. It's hopeless. Blah, 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 blah. Whatever it is, that negative voice, right? Learning to combat that negative voice is a good thing, but there's also times where you have to balance that out as well, right? So you can combat that voice with positive things. It's like, well, it's not really impossible. It just feels impossible right now. But think of it, if you were talking to yourself in that way and you're not giving yourself any grace, any compassion, any of that kind of stuff, any validation for how that you actually feel, then that would suggest is a continuation of how you have previously been treated, and probably from an abusive person that didn't give you the ability to look at what is going on with you. There is nothing wrong with saying that it's okay, you are going through a rough time. It doesn't mean that you get to sit there. It doesn't mean that you get to sit there and stay there. But it is okay to acknowledge that this is a challenging time. Like, think of it. Would you just tell a 3-year-old to, that's not true, it's just get over it? Maybe you would. Maybe you need to look at some of your parenting skills, because I'm telling you, that's going to be a problem for them as they get older. But at the same time, it's like, I know we don't treat ourselves like 3-year-old children. We're adults, right? And we should be able to do certain things. However, when it comes to those emotions, especially when you're feeling those emotions that they don't make sense, you do feel like you're in this hopeless place. What you need to do is, first step is acknowledge, admit that this is actually how you're feeling, and it's okay that you are feeling this way. Even if somebody else has got it worse, your problems aren't so bad, and people would kill to have your problems, and you just need to have a little bit more gratitude. I'm telling you, that is you taking over where your abusers have left off. And you're beating up on yourself, and you are continuing the cycle of abuse. And that is not going to help you heal. That is not going to help you move through this challenge any quicker. The fastest way to help somebody through negative emotions is accepting that they are having negative emotions, and that is okay. We all do that, and any human that tries to tell you that they're 100% positive all the time, that they just feel amazing, they're all perfect self-love, I'm telling you, they're full of shit, because self-love comes at a cost, okay? And the only reason that we focus on this whole self-love thing is because we have been hurt so fucking bad. Somebody's got to learn to do this for us. So that is how I started to learn how to love myself, was because I wasn't properly loved. And so I had to start writing the playbook on what that looks like for me. And some days I'm okay with that, and some days I suck at it, right? It depends on how things are going, and sometimes it is a challenge, it's a battle, right? And sometimes I just have to sit back and let them duke it out, because I usually, when I'm in this state where I'm not physically feeling well, my resistance levels are not as good, right? So my ability to see things clearly is not as good when you're not feeling your best self. And if you have support around you, that is great that you can get that support. But sometimes, even when we have that support, it doesn't sink all the way in. We have some resistances to being able to receive that, feeling like maybe we can't fully open up about the feelings that we're having. Maybe we don't feel like our family or friends are going to understand. Maybe we don't want to say how we're feeling because we don't want to be a burden to them. Maybe it's maybe they'll actively use it as a weapon against you. It depends on what kind of situation that you're in. Maybe it's just not appropriate, or maybe you can't even articulate or put a specific thing of what it is. Maybe it's a bunch of little things. It's like I heard an expression. It's like I normally take one day at a time, but sometimes I feel like a bunch of days have ganged up on me, and it was like a person that's all like looks like they've been through the ringer, kind of like me today. But so that always made me laugh because there are some times where you can try to take it a day at a time, but then it just sometimes feels like life gets overwhelming. And what I find that helps me the best is being able to acknowledge what is going on and how I'm actually feeling, and that I don't actually have to do anything to try and change it. The next thing is this is where it's important for me to rely on my faith. Um, and I wasn't somebody who had a faith before. I was very aggressive against combating all the reasons why it wasn't logical to have a belief in a power greater than myself. And so I was somebody that actively fought it. And I had to learn to develop a relationship with a God of my understanding. And for me, that's Jesus. For you, it might be something else, and that's okay. Whatever is works for you. And even if you don't believe, that's where I challenge you even more to be able to find some sort of faith, because when all else fails, faith won't, right? Of This is where I get a little bit sassy with my God too. And I'm like, I double dog dare you because I don't believe. I don't see how this is fucking gonna work out. This is a shit show. This is a mess. I I I got nothing. I got nothing. My best thinking has got me exactly right where I'm at. Way to go. you know, I feel like what is it, Nick Nolte in the memes where it's like you're the reason for the new company policy. and I'm like, yeah. but how can I feel it? Okay, so feeling it is whatever it is that you are actually feeling. Do you want to cry? Do you want to scream? Do you want to Now, you don't take the stuff out on other people, but you are allowed to feel how it is that you actually feel and acknowledging that. And if you feel numb, then saying that you feel numb, right? It's like I don't feel anything. I should feel something, but I don't feel anything. And I'm like, whatever it is, and if you are able to journal through that stuff of whatever, writing down how it is that you're feeling, and even if you can't feel something, but you're like, you know what, I would just be friggin' fine if so and so would just change this. Okay, now we have something to work with. Say how you're actually feeling. Practice telling yourself the truth, right? Practicing telling yourself the actual truth. How do you actually feel? I feel miserable. I feel cranky. I feel blah, blah, blah. I'm not fucking happy about this, right? It's like, I feel like I'm being used. I feel like I'm being abused. Whatever it is that you are actually feeling, start there. Acknowledge, even if you aren't saying it out loud, at least acknowledge it in your own mind. How do you actually feel? And if you feel nothing, then at least acknowledge that. It's like, I don't have time to feel this way. I've got other shit I need to do. Blah, 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 blah. I've always done that kind of stuff. I don't have time for this right now. This is not a good time for me to be feeling this. And then guess what? That is like delaying the payment. Eventually the payment comes due and you have to pay off that emotional credit card. And just know that when you are having a rough time, your feelings are going to be amplified. That these aren't facts. It's you're allowed to feel how you're feeling. You can shift that, but if you're in a state where you don't feel like you can shift it and nothing that you're doing works, maybe you try to do meditation, that doesn't freaking work. Well, you try calming music, oh, that doesn't work. One of the things is try to switch it up. When calming music doesn't work, try angry music. Does that help? Does that calm the savage beast in you? right? For me, it usually works if I'm feeling frustrated, but I don't feel like I can express that I'm frustrated. Those are the kind of things. You feel like you're inside a dark room and the room is being blocked. Yeah, I hate that feeling. I actually really hate that feeling. Um, Here's what I do. I acknowledge that I feel that way, that I feel like I'm stuck, that I can't move forward, and I acknowledge that that is what I'm actually feeling. I also counteract that with, now if I was helping my best friend and they were telling me this same information, would I be telling them, yeah, sucks to be you, sorry, nothing you can do about it? No, I would be encouraging them and I would say, you know what, I know you're going through a really tough time, but just hang in there. I'm here for you. I've got you. You know what? We are going to get through this. I don't know how, but we're going to figure out a way. I'm going to pray for you. I'm going to double dog. If you don't believe in God, double dog dare you. If there is a God, then friggin' show me. Friggin' make this go away. Make me feel like I'm not inside this dark room. Make me feel like I am not blocked, that I'm not stuck here, that I can get out of this situation. Show me some fucking sign, some glimmer of hope, right? Those are the kind of things. And you can talk to God in whatever way is comfortable for you. I promise you, God will not be offended. He cannot be offended. He already knows all your shit anyway. And so come to Him as you are. That's how I started. And to know that I was actually accepted. So, one of the stories that I like to share of I was early in my journey of faith with God, and I had lost my cat. We had moved to a new place, and we were in like a fourth floor kind of apartment, and yeah, yeah, May. Sometimes you feel weak and you can't do anything with your life. Why? Yeah, I can appreciate that. Have you tried prayer? Do you believe in God? Do you try prayer at all? Because here's one of the things, as I was talking about the story that I was sharing, is that I didn't really believe in God. I kind of knew, but like, I didn't really have a personal connection. I didn't feel like God was for other people, wasn't for me, right? And it wasn't until I had lost my cat and then I stepped up and somebody had said, like, why don't you try praying? And I was like, I don't think that's going to work. I just need to, like, logically find him, blah, 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 right? Okay, good. Good. I'm glad that you do. Do you feel like you can talk to God authentically? So, in like this example, so after a week of trying to find my cat on my own, I was searching, scouring the neighborhood. I knew he was injured because I saw there was blood there from where he had landed. And I was so afraid and I was so exhausted. Um, and by the end of the week, and I still didn't have my cat back, and I was fearing the worst. And at this point, I just really, if I could just find his body so that I would know what happened to him, that was my biggest fear. And I remembered on the Friday morning driving to work, and I was sitting at the stop sign, and I felt so hopeless, so beside myself, and I just felt like nothing was going to get better. And I just said a heartfelt prayer, and I really said it from my heart. And I'm like, you know what? If there is a God, bring back my fucking cat. And that was an honest, authentic, true prayer that I said. And guess what? That night, my mom came home late, and I had already gone to bed. And she went to go walk the dog because she didn't know if I had already walked him. And she went to go her normal path. And all of a sudden, the light on the pathway flickered and went out. And she was like, well, it's too dark. I'm not going that way. And she went a different route. And she ended up, as she was coming back to the apartment, she thought she heard a cat, and she was like, Sam, is that you? And the cat went meow, and the dog was going crazy, and she reached into the bushes, scratched up her arms, and she grabbed the cat, and it was my cat Sam. And I was like, she came busting into my room, woke me up. She's like, Tina, I got Sam. And I was like, scream crying. And those, pray, if you're going to pray, pray an authentic, true prayer. And if you really are not able to articulate what it is that you want or how to solve this or any of that kind of stuff, even if you cry, your tears are actual liquid prayer. That God hears your prayer when you don't even know what to ask for. And I know this can be really hard and it can seem really bleak some days, but this will not last. This too shall pass. And I used to hate my mom when she said that. Oh my God, I used to hate it. That was like one of her favorite sayings, and it drove me crazy. But in truth, it is. And there has been some times where I felt some really, really dark times. And I can promise you, when things got the darkest, um, it was prayer that got me through. And I didn't see a way, and I was exhausted. And all I knew is I just had to continue to breathe and to cry, to fall asleep, whatever I needed to do just to make it through another day and know that this wasn't going to last forever. I didn't know when it was going to break, especially those times when I was being abused and I would sit in the apartment window looking out, wondering if there was any hope for me to be able to get through that and being able to just know that I would be able to endure. No, you are not interrupting at all, May. I'm really happy that you asked those questions, and I really appreciate you sharing that you're going through this tough time. And I really hope that, first of all, that I'm saying your name correctly, and that you are able to take something from this and try to do those prayers and know that this isn't going to last forever and that things will turn out better than you thought they could. They may not turn out the way that you want them to, but know that there's always a better plan for you. Okay? And please try saying that prayer. Say whatever prayer is authentic and true in your heart at that particular time. The more authentic it is, the more connected you will feel with the God of your understanding. Okay? And maybe that's not allowed in your religion. I know it's technically not allowed in mine. That would be seen as disrespectful. However, it is actually what has been effective. And this is what I share on my channel here of when I do my lives, I share what actually worked for me and how I actually got through it. So these are things that I've done and I still do, um, and I don't usually, like when I pray, I don't actually verbalize it. And I know some people feel that that is something that is better. And if that works for you, great. For me, even a thought in my head of talking in with God, going, I don't know what the hell, how am I supposed to get through this? And then the next thing was, so once you say those prayers, then find something else to do. Find something and let go. Let go, trusting, knowing that somehow, some way, things are going to turn around, and you just have to go find something else to do. So in the case of when I lost my cat Sam, I had been up all week, not able to sleep. So the best thing I could do at that time to take care of myself was to actually get more sleep. And that was a clear sign that I was showing with my actions that I trusted that God would actually find a way to sort shit out for me. That I was going to let go of my way of doing things. And this is so frigging hard to do, is truly letting go of our will. and asking that God's will be done, right? And even if that meant I didn't get my cat back. In this particular case, he chose to show me that he existed by me being a mouthy little brat, and he brought back my cat that night. I was like, oh, I guess you do exist. Sorry, my bad. Thank you for bringing back my cat. And I was really happy. So, knowing that sometimes you're going to go through these dark times and trust that it will always feel darkest before the dawn, before you're just about to have that shift in that consciousness, in that situation, that change that you were hoping for, right? Of whatever it is that you can get through those things and going through these tough times. Oh, you're like, really? Come on, another thing? No, this is bullshit, man. And just know, sometimes you can balance that out with logic. So, example like today, it's like I know I was feeling down, and it's like, okay, what's the next thing that I have to do? Okay, do these mundane tasks. I needed to uh, do the dishes. I needed to clean up my art supplies. I needed to do a load of laundry, and then that was a pain in the butt. And it's like every little challenge is like, sometimes you get hit so many times, you're just like, yeah, whatever. It's like, boom, oh, another hit, oh, another hit. And you're just like Rocky in one of those rounds where he's not doing so well and he's about to go down, right? But know that Rocky always comes back, right? So even if you're in the that particular phase of the movie where you're taking the hit and you're taking the beat down, know that you will rise again. You will become the champion. You just have to survive another day, right? So hang on and know, acknowledge. It's like, man, this is a fucking shit show. This sucks. It's terrible. Great. At least we know that's how it is. And it's like, you know what? I'm tired of trying to fix this myself. That's where you ask for help. That's where you ask and you reach out. And if you don't have a belief in a God, try praying. Praying to a God of your understanding. Even if you don't believe, start the prayer off going, I don't believe in any of this shit, but you know what? Whatever. I'm going to try one last Hail Mary, one last thing, right? Just to see if this crazy chick on the internet is making any sense. Come back and tell me it didn't work. And, there will be times in your life you're going through a period where you're going to get hit over and over and over and over again. And you're just like, oh man, I don't think I could take another one. But the fact that you're still here shows that you can, right? Um, and so don't give up 5 minutes before the miracle happens. Things will shift, things will start to change. Your job is just to hang on and pray. And sometimes that's all we can do. And like I said, sometimes we can't even do that. We can't even pray. All we can do is cry because things are really, really painful. And there are some things that we go through in life. And I know that there's things that people will go through in life that are even harder than I've been through. There's people who've lost children, and I'm like, I can't even imagine like how difficult that would be. And you know, there's you don't want to get into a comparison game. Just acknowledging that your own situation, whatever your challenge is, you could have it a million times better than somebody else. But if that's still painful for you, you're still allowed to acknowledge that pain that you are actually going through. Acknowledging it and admitting that, you know what, yeah, this does suck. Doesn't that doesn't give you excuses to sit and wallow in it. Although if you need to do that, go ahead and do that. Wallow in it. And one of the things that I did in my early recovery, it's like, hey, if you're, oh, like they say self-pity is a bad thing. It's like, okay, sure, it is. To stay in that, to stay in any emotion is a bad thing, right? Emotions are meant to flow and change and move. Emotion, right? It's like those are our feelings. They're not supposed to be stagnant. They're not supposed to be there all the time, right? That's what gives life its joy, its benefit. It's the ups and downs. It would be so boring if it flatlined. Guess what? If it flatlines, it's game over. So you don't want your emotions to be flatlined. You need to be able to feel the full range of emotions, which sometimes means the negative ones, which sometimes means that you feel things like envy and jealousy and anger and wrath and self pity and poor me and all of that kind of stuff. Feel it, understand it, have compassion for yourself when you're in that state so that you can actually move through it rather than denying it and pretending it doesn't exist. We all feel those feelings, right? We all have those feelings. They are human experiences. It, there's no um, it's no mystery why that these things are talked about. It's like the seven deadly sins. It's like, and sin just means to miss the mark, right? It's an archery term. It means you miss the mark. So it's like, okay, so if you're on the side of wrath, it's like that's, you're taking your anger out on others and you're being wrathful. It's like, well, that means you've missed the target. You're supposed to give that to God. Take your anger to God. Tell Him your angry feelings. Tell Him your sad feelings, your hurt feelings, all of that kind of stuff. Take that to Him and let Him deal with it. And if you don't feel that, then at least releasing that, purging the negative emotions through journaling, a logical thing, so that you can actually externalize it, look at it objectively. If you kind of go more the science logic kind of path, that's typically the way that I go. And I haven't been writing things out lately because I don't feel comfortable sharing it, that it's too easy for it to be seen right now. So unfortunately, I'm having to process this internally, which is a whole lot harder, because then it's like your mind working with your mind. For me, it is much easier if I can write that out. But like I said, there's too many eyes watching that, and I don't feel comfortable sharing it because when I journal, it is a no holds barred, and it's for me to get those emotions out in a way that doesn't hurt others. So if I know somebody is actually going to see those things, then I can actually express those. The unfortunate thing is it gets stuck inside me, and I can't release that toxin. I can't release that poison as easily. So I'm having to go through the discomfort of finding an alternate way of dealing with that. And I haven't been as effective as I normally would be in dealing with these emotions. Um, so I've had to do prayer. I've had to rely on prayer, going, I don't know how to deal with this. I don't know how to change the situation. I know logically, but I feel chained by these emotions and I don't know how to break this chain and I need some help. And so those were some of the prayers that I said today. I need some help. I don't know how to change these emotions. I know logically there is nothing. It's no different than the baby elephant that is chained and cannot break that chain. And then when it's older, when it's stronger, and technically it has all the strength, all you need is just this thin rope imitating that chain. And it is enough to stop that elephant from being able to break free when it logically has that power and that capability to actually break free. And you can know all of this shit logically and still be stuck, and it is frustrating as hell when you get in that state. But know that even this state doesn't last forever. And sometimes what you have to do is just sit in the discomfort of that and know that there is some sort of lesson in that. But fully feel that feeling of being uncomfortable with this situation. Feel that. That is being brought up for a reason. And um, no, sometimes you can mitigate it with some logic of like, okay, the feelings are a little bit more intense than they normally were because I'm not feeling well. I have had some other issues, feminine issues that are happening that are causing this to be amplified more than it normally would. And understanding that there are all these variables and it's like, okay, well, yeah, there are these things. So what can I do? So, one of the brief reprieves that I did have today where I didn't feel so intense or upset or feel so stuck in my situation was my art that I created today. And so, art is therapy for me. It gives me that brief 1 to 2 hours of time where I'm focused on creating something, and during that window of time, I am not anxious. I am not freaked out about my situation. I am not upset and feeling like it's hopeless. Why? Because I am focused on creating the art, mixing the colors, cleaning up the mess, all of that kind of stuff, creating the art. Sometimes it turns out better than I thought. Sometimes it sucks and I have to start over. Whatever it is something that is really, really helpful for me. And so for me, that is one of the outlets. For you, what are some things that you can do? For some people, they like to work out. Some people, they might like to cook or garden or some sort of task to allow you to step away, some way to give yourself a break so that you can not, because sometimes taking that step away from the problem is actually what helps you with the problem. It's like, okay, well, I don't know what I need to do here, so I'm going to go focus on something different, something that I can feel good about. Maybe that's doing a workout. Maybe that's going for a walk. Maybe that's helping your kid with their homework. Maybe that's baking a batch of cookies, or looking up a new recipe, or watching funny YouTube videos, or listening to some crazy chick on TikTok talk about God and all kinds of other wacky stuff. I don't know. Whatever it is, finding something for you and assessing whether or not that is actually working for you. Are you finding it helpful? Does it actually help you take your mind off things and be more present in this present moment? Because you never know what could change. Things could change in an instant. You could get your cat back that night, right? It's like today, and it can go the other way too. And just when you think it can't get any worse, it might get worse. And this could be your things were going pretty good. And I've had that situation too. I've wiped out a computer system at work years ago when I challenged the universe when I said, I thought I was having a bad day, and I was like, geez, can this get any worse? And within a couple of hours, I wiped out the computer system, had to call the IT manager. So I don't challenge the universe in that particular way. I don't challenge God in that way because I have been shown, yes, it can. Oh, it can get so much worse. So do not do that. But also acknowledge how you're feeling. Don't don't be the parent. It's like, well, there's starving kids in Africa. You should be grateful for the crappy food that you're eating tonight. It's like, well, no, this kind of sucks. And it's like, yes, that may be true, but logic isn't going to help you resolve your emotions, right? Acknowledging how you feel is the first step in being able to move through your emotions quickly, right? Because otherwise, you're trying to deny them. You're trying to say, well, how you're feeling isn't important. And while logically that is the case for most of it, that doesn't feel very good. And at very least, being your own champion, being learning to be that person that's got your own back is something that is so valuable. So it's like, hey, I understand that you're having a hard time. It's okay that you're having a bad day, or this really sucks. But just know that it's not going to last, it's not going to stay this way. And focusing on the things that are right about you, that, and if you aren't feeling like you can do something. I know a couple of years, or was it a couple of years? No, a year ago or so, um, I was going through a really tough time where just the whole process of getting up, getting showered, and getting dressed was my max capacity. And then I would get my hair and my makeup done, and then I'd curl up on the couch. And that was all I had for that day. And that's okay if that's where you're at. Know that you will not stay that way forever, that you will pass through this, you will be able to get through this. Okay? So even if the voices in your head are telling you you can't, nothing's ever going to change, this is hopeless, listen to the quieter voice, listen to the quieter voice that's telling you something's got to give. This has got to get better, right? And if you don't have that voice, start nurturing that voice. Use somebody else's voice. Look up positive motivation videos. Use my voice. I upload my videos on YouTube. Come back, listen to this one if you have to help you get through this. These situations will pass. You will get through them, and sometimes you just have to white knuckle them. You have to batten it down through the storm and know that no storm lasts forever, right? That you will be able to get through this. And so even in those dark times, even in those challenging times, find something to anchor yourself in to get you through the storm. And it may not be great, it may not be pretty, and it may not be the way that you want to get through the storm. But know at the end of the day, as long as there's still breath in your body, there's still hope. Okay? So please hang on as best you can, however that looks for today, and know that tomorrow you can do better. In the next hour, you can do better. In the next 5 minutes, you can do better. That things can change. Do whatever it is that you need to do. Find toolboxes, things that you can read, things that you can listen to help you get through those tough times. And create a toolbox. In fact, actually, I'm going to end on this one thing. Back in the day, and this goes into faith. So whatever your problems are, whatever your challenges are, write those problems or challenges down, the ones that you feel hopeless on, the ones that you feel like nothing's ever going to change, nothing ever works out for me. If you're in that self-pitying mode, write all of those things down. And then I want you to get a can. I don't care if it's an empty soup can, an empty coffee can, whatever kind of can there is. And then you're going to get a label and you're going to put it on there. You're going to write God can. Okay? Whatever I can't do, you're going to write those problems down. Whatever you've not been able to solve on your own dime, everything that you've tried is not fucking working and you're at your wit's end, you've got no hope, you feel like nothing's going to work. I want you to write those things down on a piece of paper, fold them up, and I want you to put them in the God can. Okay? Because you can't, but God can. And if you don't believe that your God can, then I suggest you find a power that is actually greater than yourself. Because that is, whether that's logic, that is a mastermind or a mentorship program or coaching program or whatever that is, if somebody who's got stronger faith than you, even if you don't believe, you don't want to pray, ask somebody that you know actually has faith. Ask them to pray for you, saying, I don't think it's going to work, but can you just do it anyway for me? I double dog dare you, okay? Just try it. Prove that it won't work, okay? Try writing these things down, put it in the can, and see what happens, okay? So, guys, I hope that you find this helpful. And if you are going through a tough time, please know that I will be back on again tomorrow. And even when I don't want to, I will at least push forward for this because I know that these dark times don't last forever. And so, if I can provide somebody some semblance of hope, some sense of that you can actually get through this, and if that means all I'm doing it is for myself because I know I promised and I'm going to have to show up again here tomorrow night, even if that's fucking late, then I will do that. Even if that is I'm not feeling well and I don't want to and I don't know what the hell I'm going to say and I don't have any notes written out and is anybody going to find this useful? I'm still going to show up, even if that's just to help me. So, guys, I hope you took something from this. I hope you found it helpful. I will be posting the replay up on my YouTube channel under Coach Tina B 125. And hopefully you find this helpful, and we will see you again tomorrow. Have a great night. Bye, guys.